I'm here with Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Alexander, let's talk about an article via the American Conservative, which says impeachment witnesses furious with Bolton for cashing in on crisis. The excerpt says Bolton monetized a crisis and is dangling vital national security information in exchange for a lucrative book deal, they say. They, Alexander, being various sources who have an understanding that the informants in the Ukrainegate saga that we just wrapped up with the acquittal of U.S. President Trump in the Senate, these guys like the Vindman twins and the man whose name we're not allowed to say, are all kind of pissed off that Bolton is making away with a lot of cash. And these guys, as we predicted in many videos, and many of our viewers also predicted, who watch our videos, all these guys got thrown under the bus. The Democrats will now abandon them. The Republicans are going to go after them. And they have been escorted out of the White House, most notably the Vindman brothers and Mr. Gordon Sondland, the guy that, his testimony was quite a treat to watch. That's for sure. So, Alexander, what do you make of this? Do you think that these guys are now going to rat out the people like Schiff and Bolton that were prodding them to turn on Trump?
I certainly hope so. And I think that article that we read in the American Conservative, which is also based apparently on research done by CNN of all places, I think that is the first sign of this. And we can first of all say these individuals, Vindman, the whistleblower, we'll call him the whistleblower, though I don't think he's any sort of whistleblower. The gossip blower, the so-called whistleblower, Sondland, they deserve no sympathy at all. I mean, they were all involved in what gives every impression of having been a conspiracy to bring down the president of the United States, who was their boss. I say that because if any of these people had really believed in what they were doing, they would not have tried to cling on to their jobs and send, whispery messages through the media, and then, come along to Congress and try to give evidence there. They would have resigned. They would have resigned and gone public. Now, they've all now found that the conspiracy against the president has failed. And in true Roman style, when a conspiracy against the emperor fails, they're all sacked. They're all thrown out. And so they should be. I mean, you can't come along and do what Vindman did and come along to Congress and start sort of saying all these extraordinary things about, the president, who is your own commander in chief, in the way that you did. And, with Sondland as well. I mean, spreading gossip about what you think or guess the president's intentions might have been in order to feed red meat to the president's opponents in Congress who are trying to unseat the president. That's outrageous. And the same goes with the whistleblower or gossip blower, call him whatever you like. He doesn't actually know anything. He wasn't involved in anything. All he is doing is, again, spreading gossip about the president. And if information that's been circulating around for some time about this person is true, he was apparently been in discussions with other people about trying to bring down Donald Trump for quite a long time. So none of them deserve sympathy. All of them deserve to be thrown out. But it's entirely predictable that now that the plot against the president has failed and they find themselves out of jobs, and can I say the Vindman brothers are still apparently employed by the Department of Defense. But
yeah, they're being reassigned. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. But I wonder for how long.
Swamp creatures.
I know, but I wonder for how long, by the way. I mean, I think if Donald Trump is re-elected, they may not find even those jobs particularly secure. And the gossip blower, stroke whistleblower, stroke whatever he is, I suspect that he is not only going to be out of the job before very long, I suspect that there are also going to be questions. He's also going to be questioned before very long about some of the things that he's been up to. And I know that there are Republicans who are thinking about that. I suspect that all of these people, when the heat turns on them, and it's already doing so, are going to be very angry and are going to start talking about the people who put them up to it. And who are the people who put them up to it? Well, John Bolton, I strongly suspect, is one. And, he didn't come along. He didn't resign. Remember, he didn't resign in August.
Stop there, because I think this is an important point that you're making. Before you go any further, this is what I really found interesting about the article, is that they lump Bolton in with Schiff as the people who prodded these guys, the Vindmans and the gossip blowers and the Sondlands, into turning on Trump. So that's the first time I've actually read an article, and the American Conservative is a very reliable source, where they're lumping Bolton in with Schiff. What do you make of that?
Well,
that's
indeed. I mean,
very interesting takeaway.
It is extremely interesting. Can I just point out, I mean, they don't actually name Schiff. The article doesn't name Schiff, but the language it uses about the anger they feel towards certain people in Congress who have acted out of partisan motives and used them and are now going to go back to their careers in Congress, even though these people have, lost their jobs. Well, that clearly refers to Schiff. It's obviously that it's Schiff who's mentioned. And yes, it's very interesting that Schiff is being identified. And this is fully consistent with what we know about Schiff's activities, that his staff were in contact with the alleged, whistleblower stroke gossip blower and all the others. Now, all of these people, by the way, the Vindman brothers in particular, also had connections with John Bolton. And John Bolton was flagging up that, he had all this information that he was prepared to give, but he didn't give it. He didn't resign from the administration in August, because he felt so outraged by the terrible things that Donald Trump was trying to do. On the contrary, he tried to cling on to his job. And for a couple of hours, was even, pretending that he had not been sacked when he actually had been. I mean, all sorts of extraordinary things going on with Bolton then. Then he comes along, gets his people, so it seems to me, in the National Security Council to spread these stories, gives out that he's got all this further evidence against Donald Trump, negotiates this extraordinarily lucrative book deal which he's going to make huge amounts of money out of, gets Yevgeny Vindman, of all people, to check it, to see whether it should be published or not, but doesn't actually come out and speak himself. Let's be very clear about this. Bolton could have given interviews. He didn't need to give away any classified information. He could have come along and said at any time, I have information which is pertinent to this, and I know that Donald Trump did wrong. He never did that. He never said anything like that. And of course, unsurprisingly, all of these people now feel very aggrieved and very angry, and they're looking at the two people who led them along and have now left them hanging out to dry, who are John Bolton and Adam Schiff. And if I was John Bolton, and if I was Adam Schiff, which is inconceivable, by the way, I would never behave like that. But, I can imagine that both Bolton and Schiff are now sweating.
Sweating because Trump re-election. I mean,
well, not just Trump re-election, but especially if Trump is
if Trump gets re-elected, then those guys are afraid that they're going to come after them. Absolutely. If he doesn't, then they're safe.
Absolutely. Well, if he doesn't get re-elected, then they're safe. But if Trump is re-elected, then I can very easily see the Vindman brothers, Sondland, all of the whistleblower stroke, gossip blower. I can very easily see them turning both on Adam Schiff and on John Bolton. Their careers have been wrecked, and they were led into doing it. And I mean, they got themselves to blame. They should never have allowed themselves to be party to a conspiracy against the commander-in-chief. But I can easily see them going after the arch plotters.
Well, this makes absolute perfect sense, because usually when stuff like this takes place, you always have people on the outside that are leading the charge. So in this case, the Schiffs, the Nadlers, the Pelosi's, the Schumers, all these people that are leading the charge to get Trump out of office. And that's fine. And then you have the low-level people that have been hoodwinked into going along with this. The Vindmans, the gossip blower, the Sondlands, Yovanovitch, all these, low-level swamp creatures who were persuaded into, testifying to this narrative of this Ukraine phone call. And if you guys do this, then believe me, when Trump is out of office, you guys will be rewarded and you'll be made heroes and all this stuff. So these guys say, yeah, we'll go along with it. But usually when stuff like this takes place, this is my point, there's always someone on the inside close to the person that they're looking to stab in the back. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that person has been identified.
Absolutely.
It was Bolton. He was the person on the inside, the high-level official with Trump's ear, who was looking to stab the president in the back, get him out of office so he can get his own foreign policy madness into place. Everyone knows what, his neocon positions were. He was the guy.
Indeed.
Along with the outsiders that were moving these low-level pieces around and probably promising them, the world.
Indeed.
Promotions and fame and all these things if they went along with this plan. And now they're pissed off because Bolton was the guy that didn't have to testify, didn't get his name out in the media and get it dragged through the mud. And he's going to get God knows how many millions.
Well, absolutely. He's going to get huge amounts of money. Can I just say something about Bolton, which is, of course, that he is well known for this kind of thing. He is a ruthless bureaucratic operator. He's also very vengeful. And I have no doubt at all that part of this was his attempt to get revenge on Donald Trump for the fact that Donald Trump sacked him in August 2016 over, especially they were arguing over the Middle East. It's known that there was a big argument between the two men over the US's Middle East policy, with Bolton egging on Trump to basically stop wars and conflicts there, which Trump absolutely did not want to do. So this is classic Bolton. I've no doubt, by the way, that your interpretation is right. And it's not, of course, just the Vindman brothers who would have been directly under Bolton. I mean, they were working in the National Security Council. We must never forget that. It was also the whistleblower also was apparently involved in the National Security Council. Bolton is again in charge. And of course, Bolton, as the National Security Advisor, he also had his contacts with the various people in Ukraine, with people like Yovanovitch, but also with people like Bill Taylor, the ambassador, and that no doubt was Sondland also. The Sondland, I think, is a sort of all over the place individual. I think he just was completely out of his depth. But all of those other professionals, Bill Taylor, I think Kent was another one. All of these people, they would have been involved in some way with the national security staff. Ultimately, that points to Bolton as the ultimate orchestrator of the whole thing. And of course, Bolton and Adam Schiff had an identity of interests in that they both wanted to see Donald Trump brought down, or at least humiliated, or whatever. And so it's entirely unsurprising that these two individuals, Bolton and Schiff, eventually there was a community of interest, if you like, between them. They both started working on the same scheme. And all of these people who were dragged along, the Vindman brothers, the whistleblower stroke gossip blower, Bill Taylor, all the rest got pulled along. And now their careers are wrecked and they're very unhappy.
I wouldn't be surprised, Alexander, this is just a hunch. I wouldn't be surprised if there was communication via Bolton and Schiff, Pelosi, and Nadler as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there was communication there. And I also think a dead giveaway is that throughout the entire Ukrainegate impeachment process, throughout the whole thing, Bolton was relatively quiet, very quiet about the whole thing. I think he only popped up during the Iran stuff that happened when he
Yes.
came out with a couple of tweets. Other than that, he was very, very quiet. And then came that book deal. And even during the entire book saga that was going on, he really didn't make many appearances to speak about what was going on, which to me is a dead giveaway that he was the guy orchestrating many of the things that were happening from the inside.
I think that's entirely right. I think what happened, if I have to say, I think he was pulling the strings. I think he was pulling a lot of the strings anyway. I think that he was concerned not to be brought before the House of Representatives, but I think he thought that they would find a way to get him in front of the Senate. And I think he thought that he would there make a big splash and he would confirm all the things that the Vindman brothers and all the others had been saying. And of course, that didn't happen and the whole thing unraveled. But that it seems to me, was the game he was probably playing. And of course, he was also after his own interests. He was out to make lots and lots of money through his book. But, if I can say something else about Ukrainegate, this whole thing reeks of a plot. I mean, it reeks even more of a plot in some ways than Russiagate does, because you have a very small group of people, all of them involved, all of them talking to each other, all of them involved with each other in some ways. You can see the connections. We know that the whistleblower had contacts with people on Adam Schiff's staff. We know that all these, professional State Department types were all in communication with each other and with Vindman. We know that Vindman almost certainly was the person who leaked the information about the Zelensky-Trump call to the whistleblower. So, you don't have to put together too many dots here to see that there was a plot going on. And who is the person in this story who has the best and biggest reputation for being a bureaucratic plotter? It's John Bolton. And, Adam Schiff is not far behind. And is it a coincidence that these people who are so angry because their careers have been destroyed are now, in effect, fingering Bolton and Adam Schiff in articles that appear in the American Conservative? I would say not.
Well, Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much, guys. If you like this video, click on the subscribe button down below. Click on the notifications bell. Smash that like button. Check us out on iTunes and on Soundcloud to get an audio copy of this video, and follow us on the Telegram app. iTunes and App Store. You can get Telegram there, and go to the Duran shop, pick up some merchandise, magic mugs, and great, awesome t-shirts.
Absolutely awesome magic mugs, phenomenal t-shirts, and not just t-shirts, by the way. We've got lots of other kinds of shirts, but let's talk about our magic mugs first, because we are incredibly proud of our magic mugs, which our viewers who have bought them are enormously thrilled by. The feedback we've had on them is phenomenal. They're light, strong, they don't crack or chip. I've had this one now, which has the coat of arms of the Russian Federation on it, the double-headed eagle, rather like ours. You can just see it there, I think, but not exactly the same. You can see that it's not scolored at all, and they keep tea and coffee warm. They keep beer cold. I should say this one is about a third full of tea, and you can see that it doesn't splash because it's so steady in my hand. Always the sign of a great mug. And the same quality you will find on our shirts, all 100% cotton, all incredibly hard wearing, as I should know. I mean, this long sleeved t-shirt, which I'm wearing at the moment, has been through extraordinary places. I mean, it's been in the Peak District, it's been in the Alps, it's been, I've just walked dogs on a cold, blustery day in London in it. You can see how incredibly perfect it is. It is literally as good as new. And of course, we don't just have long sleeve t-shirts, we have short sleeve t-shirts, we have polo neck shirts, really smart, elegant, casual polo neck shirts, epitome of smart casual, I should say. We also have v-neck shirts, all of the same exceptional quality, because that was the strategic decision we made right at the start of when we opened our shop, that we would go for quality as a sign of respect to our viewers. And you will also find other similarly high quality items. You will find hoodies and stickers and hats in our shop. And you will also find our ebooks, which we're going to develop and we're going to increase the range of, but there's already 4 great ebooks there in which we set out in greater detail and thought the various topics that we discuss in our programs. So we've got amazing things in our shop. We depend on you, our viewers, to support us by buying things from our shop. Videos that we do regularly get demonetized. You get all kinds of problems with all sorts of, controls that we have to contend with all the time. So we rely on our viewers to support us, partly by buying things from our shop, but we show our respect by providing you with good quality things in our shop, and you will find them all there. So come to our shop, buy them. Alex will tell you how to.
TheDuranShop.com. You'll find the link in the description box down below. Alexander Mercouris, thank you very much. Until next time, everybody, take care.